and welcome back to the Touchline podcast, the podcast that speaks about everything that has to do with your football news. My name is Lady Poko, and tonight we have a jam-packed show because I do believe that every single league is back in town. We started off this past weekend with Serie A as well with Mourinho getting his, goats underway and making sure that Tammy Abraham is scoring from all cylinders. But we also have La Liga that is also in full swing, as well as the Premier League. And here with me tonight to discuss everything and all of that jazz, we have Chain, who's always off the chain whenever he's on this show. How you doing?
I am good. I'm ready. I'm back. Let's do this. I'm good to be here, guys.
Yes. And then we also have Mr. Dweezy Original, who's looking fine and fancy and looking like he's on top of the world. How are you doing tonight?
It's good to be back. It's good to be back on the podcast. I'm excited that Chain's here because if Chain remembers, we used to have debates about football back in the day at school. So hopefully we learned something in those 8 years.
I don't think much has changed on his side, considering also this weekend in the Premier League, his team did not perform how they would have, first time around when they played Leeds. So obviously coming back from that victory, that 5-1 victory, and then drawing with, at St. Mary's against Southampton. Chain, I want to give this one to you. How did you find that game? And how did you think of Ollie's tactics?
Okay. I'm going to say this first and foremost. Our team is still looking like a UEFA Champions team. Okay. It's still looking good. I don't care what anyone says. Secondly, right, that game, okay. I'm not even lying. I really believed we were going to take that L. Like it was going to be a tough game either way. I mean,
it's always a tough game. Southampton always gives you guys a little bit of a tough time. Yeah.
So they were well prepared, and Armstrong was really the only person I was worried about. I was like, if this guy gets just because let's be honest, if they beat Lindelof, they just have to beat one person, and then it's late for us. So they did what we expected. You saw that goal, one beat, and then it was a wrap. But I like the only thing that came well out of that game was that we still have that mentality of keep going, keep fighting till the very end. So I love that fight in us. That has to. I hope that stays for the whole season because it gets tough as things go. But we on a good roll right now. No one says anything.
Oh, okay. I want to ask Dweezy what he's going to say because he definitely has something to say.
I'll speak about it from a neutral perspective, and I'll speak about it from the man of the match being a Chelsea boy who will be returning to the club very soon, regardless of what anyone says. That just the Southampton performance was, I think, a very good tactical performance. And it's one thing that I've noticed, and it's even if you go back to the games that they had last year, it's almost like when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sets up a Man United team that does really well in one game, the next player has to play him is able to pick that game plan that he used in that game to do so well and say, now let's see how he was able to break this team down and score 5 goals, score 4 goals, get the best out of this player, get the best out of that player. And then they just stop it. And then it stops that momentum because even last year, Man United was never able to get a good string of matches going in a row because the tactics just never really changed. Ole is not able to go from one good game to realize maybe he should switch it up. Maybe he should switch it up. Yeah, he thinks same thing one game, same thing the other game. They read him like a book. Southampton read him like a book. They exploited the defense really well. And they got the draw, and it was just Man United back to usual business, not picking up.
I think, we could all see in the end when the final whistle went and Ralph Hussenhoff was just like, yes, you could tell that he was there to make sure that they actually do not lose. And also considering the fact that last season, Chain, Southampton were 2-0 up before you guys came back with those free kicks from James Ward-Prowse, who is a set-piece specialist and who has also now committed his long-term future to the club, signing a new contract. Chain, looking at the way you guys performed against Southampton, how do you think you're going to perform against Wolves this coming weekend?
Look, give us Wolves, give us Hampton, give us Chelsea, give us Arsenal, give us Liverpool. We're still going to come out with the W. We're not going to take that.
You came up with a D this weekend. Oh, start off right. You came up with a D.
Listen, okay, fine, draw. But one thing for sure, we will not take an L. So give us any look. This is, you understand, guys. I'm so confident about this season, right? Bruno, Pogba are playing like gods right now. Okay, no one tell me anything. And throughout the performance so far, I can truly say that look, even if we're playing Wolves, we're just gonna come in. The only thing I'm really worried about is our defense. But we got Varane. So I mean, like, I just want clean sheets now. There's no excuse. No excuse for nobody.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes.
The thing is, so I know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to switch the team up now because he's realized mistakes happen. How do I change it for Wolverhampton? My thing is, you can be as confident in the Man United squad as you want to be. Premier League winners, Champions League winners, they don't only change when they suffer a loss or a draw. They
change all the time.
Constantly look for wins all the time. So sure, Chain can say the team's looking good, Pogba's looking good, Fernandes is looking good. You know, we haven't seen Pogba doing this for Man United since he arrived. But how long does this also last? How long does Mason also last? How long Fernandes, we know, can go the entire season, but that's also the problem with United. It's everyone around him also has to kick the entire season for them to be successful. How long does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer realize he needs to constantly adapt to the Premier League to win the Premier League, and not just react to bad results and then just come up with a win, a loss, a win, a loss, a win, a draw, a win, a loss. Like, that's not going to win you the Premier League. You need to constantly be changing that squad around, the tactics. He's just not a very good tactician. He's not a good football mind. And that's at the end of the day, I think Man United team's strong. I think Varane's strong. I think they've got good players. But Ole is Premier League.
Yeah. And then also just going back to what Shane was saying, that they have to be getting in those clean sheets in order for them to win. I mean, you also mentioned the likes of Paul Pogba performing. Paul Pogba had 3 assists the whole of last season. He's already on 5 with just 2 games in. So already we were starting to see that they can mash well and can play those games. But then I also want to move on to another game that I did not expect. This was West Ham against Leicester just Monday night. So many things were broken. Mikel Antonio has now broken the top goal scorer for West Ham. He is now the top goal scorer there. He's doing the things for David Moyes. And that team, man, that team is looking solid. I was thoroughly impressed by Ben Rama's performance. How did you find that game, Shane?
That game,
did you watch it?
Like you said, did watch it. Like you said, it shook me. Let me not lie to you, but it didn't surprise me to a point where, you know, I knew they were going. I didn't think they would have total dominance. Like, I was sure that West Ham would give them trouble a little bit, but to get out with much goals, 4-1. I was like, yo,
4-1.
And Antonio, let's tell the truth. Antonio, this is like one of his.
What a celebration, man. What a celebration.
And move on. More serious things happening here. But let's talk about the celebration though. Him picking himself up. Please wait. Management, can you show that again? Please, can you show that again? That was who has that type of FIFA better put that on the next celebration. Yes, that. Oh my God, that is beautiful. Look. FIFA has to put that on the next in the celebration. Like, it has to be there. There's no other option.
Yeah, and then Dweezy, I want to go to you. With regards to Leicester's performance, was it because obviously, you know, they did get that red card, Ayuzi Perez, which was a bad tackle. I think it was deserved. Do you think they started slacking towards that part of the period where they only became 10 men, or they came into that game with that energy anyway? Because I really struggled to see Leicester's game plan yesterday.
So it's again, I speak about Leicester. They've had a good side. This is where I speak about the tacticians coming in. You know, the Premier League's got a whole bunch of people who can make players work. David Moyes, Brendan Rodgers. Both of them are good. The thing that fared well for West Ham last season and is clearly in their books this season is that people do not expect them to pull through.
To do that's what.
You. And the problem is when they surprise you, they don't just surprise you with a last-minute winner. They surprising you 4-1. That's what they're surprising you with. They're surprising you out of nowhere where you also, like, Mikel Antonio has been so fantastic. You mentioned Said Benrahma. He's unreadable right now as a player. He's literally one of the only players you don't know whether he's always going to cut onto his weaker foot or cut onto his stronger foot. You don't know where he's turning left and right. You don't know where he prefers just going down the channels or whether he prefers cutting in. You can't read it. Thomas Souček's always been very good at deciding when he wants to run into the box, and whenever he decides to run into the box, we saw in the previous games he gets those goals.
There's a goal. Yeah.
Very, very unreadable at the moment, and people set their teams up and they set their mentality up with their players to think, you know what, it's West Ham, so we're going to take it chilled, and then they get humbled, and then the red card came, and everything just fell to pieces. And they just didn't have an answer. They really just did not have an answer.
Yeah, I'm just reading Chad Peterson's comment there saying Mikel Antonio's top scorer because no player with his salt stays at West Ham United. But, just adding on to Antonio, is it also because of the manager? Because, we've always known him to be, he gets the goals. But last season, for some odd reason, he started banging in those goals irregardless of his injuries, because we know that he is injury prone. Chain, they are now playing Europa. How do you see that panning out for their season?
Oh, guys, it's Europa. Look, just because they looked hot in the beginning.
No, you can't say that. You lost the final.
Listen. You said me. It's my turn, right? My turn. Hey, am I paid? Time out. It's my turn, right? I can speak. Yes, I have the microphone. Listen. That team, do not think too much of West Ham, okay? Right now, like I said, they're having their flowers, having their moment. It's like their 15 minutes of fame, whatever. Guys, we're talking about them in Europa, okay? You are facing the best of Europe. Okay, second best.
Second best.
The second best.
Yeah, please.
Look, they're not there. Before West Ham can even think of dominating something like Europe or being part of the Europe's, league, they have to be regulars, okay? This is their first appearance in what? How many years? If they in Europe itself, and with all of that put in mind, yes, coach is doing well. Yeah, we're praising for all his work, but guys, calm down. Okay, the same hype you guys gave Leicester, and look what you did. Now they feel like they're on top of the world. They're not.
But the thing is, when we talk about these teams who made it to Europe, and when we talk about these teams who've come out of nowhere, it's your West Hams and your Leicester. Leicester pulled a Premier League title out of the bag. I'm not saying West Ham are going to pull this Premier League title out of the bag, but
you're saying it is possible.
West Ham have gone a very similar run to Manchester United and losing a final. It just shows that United wasn't good enough to win the Europa League final either. That argument doesn't stand. Like, Man United's got European pedigree, and they couldn't even survive in the Europa. It's anyone's game. No one believed Villarreal was ever going to lift that trophy. No one ever thought.
No one gave them that. Yeah.
Guys, wait, hold up. I just need honest opinion right now. Are you honestly telling me that you paying money for West Ham to go far in Europa? That's what you're telling me right now.
100%.
No, that's not what he's saying. He's just saying that it is possible.
But I will say, I see them deep into the knockouts. I do see possible. Them. I'm not saying they'll win Europa, but I think they'll see themselves deep in the knockouts.
And speaking of that, anyway, there is the Champions League draw as well as the Europa draw on Thursday, the 26th of August, 2021. That draw will happen in Istanbul. So we are ready to see who we are going to be facing in the Champions League as well as the Europa League. But also looking at some of the other results that happened this weekend, as you can see on our screens, Aston Villa winning against Newcastle 2-0, Crystal Palace and Brentford drawing 0-0, Leeds and Everton, what an entertaining game, and Rafinha strike. Demarai Gray is back in the Premier League, guys, and making sure that Everton get that vital point, as well as Man City thumping Norwich a 5-0. I think Mr. Vince __92 is probably happy. He knew that, once you get a beating the first game, it's on, man. But then again, most people are going to be like, it's just Norwich. But that's the Premier League for you. And then in the other results that we do have, Brighton beating Watford, as well as the biggest one of this weekend. I want to get into that one. That is the London Derby. Dweezy, I'm going to start with you because, look who's back, man.
Yeah, and it wasn't the best game. It wasn't the most thrilling game. I think the team, you could see from the start that ball was being played to our number 9. Lukaku was getting that ball, and I think the team's even trying to suss out how they play this ball to a striker who's going to hold it up and then distribute out wide. It's very different to how Timo Werner would play. It's even very different to how Olivier Giroud used to play, because he liked the ball rather coming through over the defenders and running onto it or getting it from the wide. So the team was set up well. The one thing I took from the game, I think we were clinical when we needed to be. I think it was lovely seeing the passion from players like Lukaku and players like Reece James scoring, grabbing the badge, Reece James pulling absolute shithousery and celebrating in front of the Arsenal fans. It was a good performance. It was a solid performance from Chelsea. The one thing I do realize this season is our substitutes, when they come on, they make big impacts. We saw it when Reece James came on in our first game. As soon as he came on, we realized we made a mistake by having, I can't even remember who was playing out wide that day. Playing out wide and I hate to say it, Ziyech is looking dangerous this season, because he came on, he was on for a short period of time, and he was moving that ball around better than Mason Mount and Kai Havertz were. And Kante hopes in the starting squad against Liverpool this weekend, because Jorginho is letting up Kante, Kovacic is the starting group. But then if we move to Arsenal are terrible this season. They have no idea what they're doing. And it just made the game easier for us to...
for Chelsea.
I just think any team that sets up against Arsenal right now is going to find themselves being able to pick Lukonga apart. They're able to read Gabriel Martinelli's mind, because they also don't really know who's playing up front. Bukayo Saka runs out of ideas. Martin Odegaard last season.
Jane, yes, you were there? You see, he was saying nonsense. Now
I'm saying that Arsenal game, Lukaku's a bully.
No, and he's the bully.
Pablo Mari wasn't ready. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, we agree. Lukaku was a bully. All right? Yeah. He had the whole game. He couldn't look, man. I've never seen that since when you're grade 8 and you see that matric, like that big first team dude, and he tells you pick up his bag, and you have no but to pick it up. What's going to happen to you? Yes, but like that game was so sad for the boy. I felt like he was a grade 8 in the matric group, and beat all over the place. But that's what happens. However, wait, before we move on, that draw for UEFA. Can we talk about how that draw is going to be very interesting? Because which teams won the leagues this season? We have what? Man City. You have Atletico. You have
Inter.
Lille.
Who won in France again?
Lille.
Listen to all of those groups. Right? Yes, all those teams won, right? They get their own group. Now think about the teams that came second and third, guys. Real Madrid, you've got BVB. There is a whole lot happening in the group stage. I'm scared, really terrified. And knowing how UEFA does their things, they're going to put teams like maybe Manchester in the group of death, where all of a sudden you just have Bayern, PSG, and then
we haven't even had the draw. We haven't even had the draw, and Man United fans have already clogged up excuses.
Listen, the group of death.
Listen here, man. I've watched enough of UEFA to know it gets rigged at a point, okay? Every time they always put us in that group with PSG for no good reason. Because we couldn't.
And if you were good enough, you'd get out of it.
They did the same thing with Arsenal last season.
But if you were good enough, you'd be able to get out of a group of death. That's all I'm saying. If you were good enough.
Well, I guess we have to see and hear from Istanbul on Thursday when that draw happens. It's probably happening at around 1 or 1:30 in the afternoon. Just keep your eye out on your TV screens for all of that. Also, I want us to move on to the new league, or the new league that opened this weekend, that is a Serie A. I want to talk about Jose Mourinho and how he announced himself back in Italy. Roma getting that vital 3-1 victory against Fiorentina. Tammy Abraham getting 2 assists, as well as Mkhitaryan. Guys, Roma Mkhitaryan. Can we talk about Roma Mkhitaryan? Because, wow, he's having fun out there, Chain. That's one of your former players.
We don't miss him. It's fine. Bye. We good. He can have fun there in Italy. He can play with the old men, sticks and everything. But it's fine. We don't care. He can leave. I'm happy.
Did you just
I'm
the
good.
old
It's
man?
solid.
The thing is, they just wish Mkhitaryan was
Yes.
playing like that when he was at Man United. That's the thing they said about when he was
Listen
at
here,
United.
Chelsea man. Listen here, Chelsea man. No one asked you about how we listen. They asked me, how do I feel? I told them we are fine with Mickey. He can even Abraham can join themselves. Okay? We want serious things now. We want to win.
Okay.
If we're talking Roma though, I don't think this Fiorentina team
Was
is
enough to
as
test
good as they were in their 2018, 2019 years when one of Quadrado and all of them were still playing for them. I think this Fiorentina, they've had their own money problems. They struggle to recruit players. They don't have it's funny. The Italian teams used to have absolutely functional youth systems that used to bring players through all the time. We're not even seeing that anymore. So you have a league now where nothing's coming up from the bottom, and they don't have enough money to pay anyone at the top. So they very much. If I had to say, the Farmers League right now is Serie A. The Farmers League right now. It's not even French Liga, because if you see an upset like Lille beating PSG last year, you see the likes of Lyon, the recruitments they have, the Marseille teams. You're not looking at that. They're still a Farmers, but it's a higher quality Farmers League than Serie A right now, which means Jose Mourinho can easily play around, build a reputation for himself, and hoodwink everyone again into thinking he's a good manager. And that's just what Jose is going to do in that league. We're not in the days where Serie A was hard when he was at Inter Milan and winning leagues at Inter Milan. We're not in the days of Jose Mourinho when he was at Real Madrid, or those Porto days, or even early Chelsea days. We're not in those periods anymore. Jose is scrambling for a Roma team that I only see finishing still behind the likes of Napoli, still behind the likes of Atalanta, still behind possibly even the likes of AC Milan this year. And I haven't even mentioned the top two, which will be Juventus and Inter Milan.
And Inter,
So
I mean,
he's still at a tough. It's great to see Tammy getting assists, but I just want Tammy to get assists so he can become better, so we can buy him back when Lukaku's done. And that's all I really care about Jose and his ability to make strikers out of players.
And that's the beauty about some of these contracts now lately. They have these buyback clause, in which Tammy Abraham has that clause at Chelsea, which I believe they will utilize, like you said, at a later stage. And just talking about that, I want to talk about some of the transfers that have happened in recent times. You mentioned the likes of Lyon, who are serious about their business now. Also getting Shaqiri from Liverpool, they're on a 3-year contract. The way Shaqiri describes it is as if he actually wasn't consulted. He sounds like he didn't know he was being sold, because he didn't sound happy when that deal came through. But they did sign him on a 3-year deal, as well as also getting the likes of Emerson Palmieri on loan from Chelsea. Chain, you look bemused. What's up?
When did Shaqiri? Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not updated as I thought I was. When did Shaqiri? When did this deal happen? Was this when? When this happened?
This past weekend, like legit within the last 5 days, it was finalized, and he was I saw it yesterday, announced, shirt and everything. He is gone. He's a Lyon player now, and he is no more in the Premier League.
Hey, is SuperSport gonna start playing? French league now, because really now we have to see this now.
I'm saying the thing is, if you look at this Lyon squad, I've just pulled up the Lyon squad now. Emerson also made his way to Lyon, so he's at their left back position. They've got Marcelo, who's a very promising, solidified Brazilian centre back. They also have Joseph Denayer sitting at the back, so he's been solid. He's always been a solid player. But if you start looking at the attack and you start seeing Hassem Aouar, you seeing Keita's in that side, Shirky's in that side, Zoran Shaqiri, Musa Dembele, Toke Ekambi. They're all playing for the squad. It's a decent squad, and we haven't even talked about the Lille squad yet. We haven't spoken about Marseille squad yet. We haven't, and they also, the French league right now, I don't know where they found money, but a lot of them are bringing in players, and it's players people don't want, and those are the players that do well for them. It seems like the Bakayoko was also linked to Lyon for a stage. I think he might be going to Milan, but that French league, they realized when Messi came in, they had to step it up.
And they really have. I mean, also just looking at some of the other transfers here in the Premier League, we're talking the likes of Martin Odegaard, who has now solidified his place in that Arsenal team. He has signed now long-term contract, no more loan deal. Arsenal also made sure to get another signing, that is Aaron Amsdale. That is a 24 mil that he signed now from Sheffield. You know what they say, man? He got relegated the first time, he got relegated the second time. Maybe the third time is a charm. So I don't know what is in store for Arsenal this season.
Not gonna end well. Oh my gosh, they got Odegaard. Odegaard must accept that. Look, man, it's gonna be tough. That's his career for the next 4 seasons. It's gonna be tough because I mean, wait, he's from Madrid, right? He's fresh from Madrid.
I mean, he was the youngest signing. He signed for Real Madrid for 16 years old when he signed, and we all thought he was gonna be magical.
Look, I blame his agent because who in their right, you know what, I'm gonna say it. Who in their right mind as an agent would decide that, hey, I'm gonna take this kid and take him to Arsenal?
So the way I understood the story that happened with Martin Odegaard is he had a relatively good season at Arsenal last year. It wasn't productive, but it was developmentally good for him. And he thought he would walk into that Ancelotti squad at Real Madrid. And the players who were on the red carpet were the players who got into the team. And his agent was basically saying, where do we go from here? Because the problem with Odegaard, the only club that wanted him was Arsenal.
Yes, that's unfortunate.
I agree with Cheng with the agent. If you're not able to market this player who's had exceptional talent all through his life to the top clubs, I would have rather have seen Odegaard move his way to Leverkusen, a Dortmund, a Borussia, one of those teams, than Arsenal, a team that finished 10th last year.
Yeah, and it seems to be that they're probably going to be there for a long period of time, because right now Newcastle, Arsenal, and Norwich are rooted at the bottom of the table with no points, no goals, and Arsenal play Manchester City next at the Etihad. So it's going to be a very interesting few weeks for Arsenal, because also if Arsenal do not score this weekend, I'm not sure they're going to have a goal of the month for the month of August, because they are yet to get a goal.
Can I tell you, you know, that's my favorite stat that has come out from this month. My favorite stat in football is that a club cannot have a goal of the month because they did not score a goal in the month. And I think it's last year, I think it was Arsenal, Man United, and it's not shade to Man United, but I think Man United only scored 1 goal in a month because of the international breaks, and it was a penalty. Right. And everyone dragged Man United on Twitter saying your goal of the month is a penalty. Arsenal's goal of the month is now highlights of a shot on target, maybe. They'll put a shot on target or a crossbar. That's their goal of the, like, what do they have? It's a shit house of a club at the moment.
They're going to have to go back to training and see how they've been doing, because apparently with Mikel Arteta saying that they had a plan that none of us actually saw this weekend. But, gents, let's not get derailed. We were still talking about the transfers that have been happening. We also know that here locally, we have Pule Eckstein, who's come back to South Africa and signed for AmaZulu. He's back in South Africa. Let's see what he can do as well as Luther Singh, who has also just signed a contract overseas. So many names are coming in. And also now with the fact that the qualifiers are coming for the World Cup, the 23-man squad for Bafana Bafana has now also been announced. That's something we're going to be touching on in coming weeks, because the qualifiers are only scheduled for September the 3rd as well as September the 6th.
Can we talk about South African football very quickly?
Yes, that's what we're heading to.
Luther Singh, good move. Luther Singh, good move to Copenhagen. I think very good move for him. I think he's going to be sublime. I think he made his debut this weekend under 23. He wasn't even in the starting squad. So I think Copenhagen's been a good move. We're still waiting to find out where Percy Tau is going to end up. We still don't really know where Percy Tau is ending up.
Guys,
you know what's funny about Eckstein moving to AmaZulu? He's moving to AmaZulu to join Benny McCarthy there. I think he's going to do a good job there at AmaZulu. And then you see new team Royal because we speak player transfers in the PSL, but the one thing I want you to come in here, we have club transfers in the PSL.
Yeah, man. Big moves.
Disappearing and becoming Royal all of a sudden, because Royal was Takuma Tavende. I can't remember the name exactly right now. But we
Takuma Samandi Bandila.
When do clubs transfer names and cities? Like this is so wild to me that Royal just bought Bloemfontein Celtics and now they're playing in the PSL.
It's absolutely insane. And also, do you remember they have now actually gotten the sanction because obviously they walked off the PSL playoffs and relegation. They finally got their sanction. Yeah. They've been sanctioned about 4 million rand. But also, do you remember that sanction also might fall down to TTM, who bought that status, because technically the sanction is for the status of the team. So now I don't know how that is going to pan out with regards to Royal who also played their first game this weekend and lost in the 93rd minute. This is a team that says never die.
The owner literally bought a 1.5 million rand BMW instead of a player transfer. But make it make sense. It's fine. Make it make sense.
That is football. Chang, you want to say something to that?
No. One thing, South African football. Look, it is a Mickey Mouse game, that one. I love it so much because you never know what can pop out. It's either the refs are gonna piss you off or the management's gonna make you upset, or players are just going left and right. Look, right now, the fact that teams can buy statuses and, get into the Premier League is beyond me at this point, because that was one of the first things that I was like, how in God's name do you do that? Like, who picks those things, okay? First of all,
yeah.
And if you guys remember the playoff game that those guys did not play.
They didn't come. They didn't even pitch.
The build-up to that was so epic because, you must understand that these guys already won the league, and then
they thought they won the league and bought themselves medals and celebrated.
No. They won the league, right? That league itself messed up because literally during the duration of the league, they didn't postpone the game on time, and obviously because of COVID, all things went left and all that. Then they decide literally on the last, after everything's out, champagne, popo, everything's from Manate, Joe. People are drunk. Imagine. You get lit, you enjoying yourself. They tell you, no, you're gonna come back and play again. You're like, no, it doesn't work like that.
That's the unfortunate part of South African football. But also the Glad Africa games were also in full swing this weekend. We have some of those results. But looking at some of the DStv Premiership results from tonight, we did have two games. That is Marumo Gallants FC, who welcomed Orlando Pirates. That game was 0-0. I don't even understand why they bothered. As well as in the next one, Chipa United hosting the defending champions in Mamelodi Sundowns. That one too also ended in no draws. But then looking at, yes.
Can we talk about the Orlando Pirates game? Orlando Pirates.
The red card and the 2-0 draw and no coach. Yeah.
No, but they showed why Hugo Broos isn't selecting a single Pirates player for that
Pirates player.
Yes. There's a reason why not a single Pirates player is in that Bafana Bafana squad.
There is no one thing about Pirates right now. They've lost what you call it. That in terms of understanding, getting the flow of the game and their reputation. They've lost all of that in just how many 2-3 seasons, right? And kind of a shock how things can drop so quickly for a team that's presumably one of the tops in SA. I still don't see it, but yeah. So we don't really mind them. Pirates can do their thing as they want. But can we talk about Sundowns right now? Okay, my team is looking but we just want to win a few more games, because like I said, we're not really too much focused on the league because we know we're going to come top 2 and not not number 2. And our focus on our So if you about it, we know, don't bother about us right now. We're gonna win. We just want the Champions League.
Okay, well, you heard it here first, man. He says they just want the Champions League. And looking at some of the other fixtures that are coming up in the DStv Premiership this week, Wednesday at 3 p.m. with SuperSport as well as Golden Arrows, Amazulu and Swallows, Stellenbosch against TS Galaxy, and Skokune United. The new kids on the block travel all the way to the Harry Gwala Stadium to face Maritzburg United. We also have Kaizer Chiefs against Baraka City, as well as Royal who will be facing Cape Town City. That is Wednesday's fixtures, as well as also looking back or looking frontwards into the weekend for the DStv Premiership things. But to wrap up Touchline tonight, before we talk about the Fantasy Premier League and see who's in the league there, I want to talk about the UEFA Awards. The nominees are out. We do have, the Football Player of the Year. Some of those nominees are Kevin De Bruyne, Jorginho, N'Golo Kante. I'm not even going to be biased, guys. Let's not lie. It's going to a Chelsea player. It's probably going to be Jorginho, but that's okay. Chelsea players, fine. Whichever one, we will be happy. We will be very happy.
You laugh.
As well as also...
You say that now. Look, I tell you now, the football, just because of that, the football gods will be like, KDB.
No, but look, I'm saying, I agree with Bide, but I'm not even going to put it down. I agree with Bide. I'm not going to put it down to the Chelsea player definitely having to pick it up. I don't understand why Jorginho is in that lineup. And nor do I understand why Jorginho is being mentioned in Ballon d'Or lineups. Because in the Chelsea midfield, just those centre two, he's second best to Kante. But Kante just didn't win the UEFA Euros. That's the only difference.
And that's what's going to push him, yeah.
In the Italian squad where Jorginho was playing, he was still not better than Marco Verratti. He wasn't the best player in the Italian squad because that was Federico Chiesa. So not in Chelsea is he the best midfielder. He's not even the best player in the squad. In Italy, he's not the best player in the squad. But for some reason, we're giving awards to people because they pick up silverware. That's what the club. That's your award for the club. Is you picked up the silverware. If you didn't make it to the final, if your team didn't have a good season, but you pumped in 35 goals in the Premier League for Brighton City, you should be up there. In that consideration, because that award for UEFA Best Player is recognizing the best player, not the best team. Your best team already got its trophy. Jorginho hasn't been the best player in any division. He's not top goal scorer. He's not a top assistant. He doesn't have the greatest pass accuracies. He's just in winning sides. And the winning sides are N'Golo Kante or strikers.
If you say that, okay, who would you put there then? If you had to put your top three then in that list, you take out Jorginho, who would you put there?
So I'll definitely have Kante in that squad. But if we're looking at performances, and now I'm just going to throw names at you and you'll shake your head and laugh and all that kind of stuff. But if we look at the way Robert Lewandowski broke Gerd Muller's record in the Bundesliga last year, and he's not on the list. You're looking at Marcus
He's still
Llorente,
doing it now.
And you're looking at Marcus Llorente for Atletico Madrid in their winning season. Luis Suarez even had one of the best seasons he had since leaving Barcelona. Well, since he's left Barcelona. You're looking at clubs. Look at that Lille squad. Look at the players that took Lille to beating PSG in the Ligue 1. Those are players who should be UEFA best players. Just because they're not winning UEFA Euros doesn't mean they shouldn't be UEFA's best players.
But so being a best player does not mean you have to win the silverware. Like, I just want to know that winning a silverware does not mean that you're best player.
But do remember that this is an individual award, Che. This is also some of the things that he's talking about. This is an individual award for your personal performance. The same way Harry Kane always gets, golden boot just because he's scoring those goals, regardless of where Tottenham ends up that season. This is what we're talking about, individual performances.
But guys, please make me understand this. If your team wins, if you get a silverware, right, you get a goal for winning, whether you Europa, UEFA, whatever, and they put you on the individual awards. Guys, that's one of the main categories of reasons of being on the top three, isn't it? Like, you have to win in order to get.
Sure, you have to. You have to win, but you could also be a product of a team that's struggling around you, but you're still able to perform that team. We've seen Messi lift Ballon d'Ors where he hasn't won all the trophies in the season.
Anything.
We've seen Ronaldo pick them up. But my argument is, for example, the year Luka Modric picked up the Ballon d'Or, he didn't even win, but he came runner-up in the World Cup and he won the Champions League and all that kind of stuff. There, he was recognized over players who won the World Cup because of individual performances. And it's now like we've almost digressed. Putting Jorginho in that list because he won 2 trophies. His team won those trophies. He wasn't the best player in those teams. So how is he the best player there? You might as well then throw Emerson Palmieri into that because he was also part of both squads. But he
won both.
Is he the best player left back?
But guys, his influence into the game. I mean, Emerson's influence is not the same as Jorginho's. You cannot say
but
that.
But Kante's influence versus Jorginho's influence.
Yes.
No,
So that's what we're saying. Like,
guys.
ultimately, it's still an individual thing, because even Karim Benzema could be mentioned there with what he did for Real Madrid and those goals he was banging in too. And also the fact that he made it back into that Italian squad is something that is worthwhile talking about. But before we get carried away with those nominees, there's also still the coach of the year, the men's coach of the year, that is Joseph Guardiola, Pep Guardiola, as well as Roberto Mancini with that Italian side, as well as Thomas Tuchel also for Chelsea. And on the other side, for the women's player, we have Louis Cortez, Peter Heggenson for the Sweden team, as well as Emma Hayes for the Chelsea team. But do you remember also in that draw for the Champions League and Europa draw, they will be announcing the defender nominees, goalkeeper, midfielder, as well as the best forward. So there's still so many nominations to still come. We're still going to be having these arguments. We're not done yet.
Thomas Tuchel, manager of the year. It can't go to anyone else. No one did what that man did in those games.
Hold up. Talking to me now. What did the man do with the Italian team? Did he not just bring it to Rome? Are you trying to tell me that he does not deserve it?
So
but you're competing with a man. Wait, Dweezy. You're also competing with a man that won a Champions League, a Super Cup in less than 100 days in charge of a team that he took over within 4 months. So individual brilliance.
Set up one of the best defenses in Europe in the shortest amount of time, managed a team to the best defensive record in Europe in his time at the season, picked up a squad that was losing hope in January. And if you're going to talk about whose game had the most impact, you're looking at Roberto Mancini and his 8 games at UEFA Euros and an Italian
he's had 2 years though. He had 2 years with that team, though. He's been building since late 2018. Yes.
Mancini's number 3 on that list. Again, he's a product of just because you won a trophy doesn't mean you're a good manager.
Look at Shane's face.
Okay. You know what? This is why I'm getting a tad annoyed. Okay. Look. Okay. The man took an Italian team. Okay. This past, how do you say it? Past 2 seasons, 2 years, right? Took an Italian team, a team that, as much as many people were saying that they expect them to win, guys, they were not doing that on the chat of winning the whole thing, right? This man took that team, finessed. I mean, he put Jorginho at the right position. He made sure Donnarumma does his job. Dude, he gave these guys a free road. He managed to point it like, guys, you know what to do now. He didn't have to do much. He knew the tacticals, and he did well. Now you're trying to say Mr. Thomas, Coach Thomas Chelsea.
So Thomas Tuchel took a Chelsea squad.
That was 9th.
That was 9th, and he took them to a position where they qualified in the Champions League positions. He beat Real Madrid. He beat Atletico Madrid. He then beat Manchester City. He beat Guardiola 3 times in the run-up to the Champions League final. If you're talking about Mancini setting up an Italian squad to beat England versus Tuchel setting up a not-so-good Chelsea squad to beat City, who won the league in the final, you're looking at the UEFA Manager of the Year on a direct comparison.
Yo, it's bound to get interesting here on Touchline in the next few weeks. Shane, behave. We're about to wrap this up. Shane, we're about to wrap this up. Behave. We're not going to talk about the Touchline Fantasy Premier League. We just want to look at who is at the top, because also we have a special mention. Whoever really is at the top at the end of this month might find themselves here on the Touchline podcast to have their say, just to see how their personality is and how they go about picking their team. So please continue supporting us and make sure that your teams are in order every single week, because it's about to get interesting. Now, looking at that, we have Matibala Mela 2.
Yo, 200 hour. Can
Yeah, no.
These guys are crazy.
The only thing I'll say is I'm glad I'm beating Chad. That's the only thing I'll say. I'm glad I'm beating Chad. Chad, I'm beating you. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
Wait, you beat him?
Shane, you have work to do, huh?
Wait. How many points?
Little Duva.
No, Dwayne's talking like Dwayne.
I'm at 45. Look, I ain't nothing great, but I'm beating Chad. That's all that matters. I ain't nothing great, but I'm beating Chad.
Shane, how's your team looking?
I want the whole world to hear. I just want to know what number Dwayne is. You got to speak
I'm
up.
45. I'm 45. Yeah.
Okay. Or Bile, where are you?
You see, I'm the host, and I just give the news. Some of this stuff does not involve me. But Shane, thank you so much for coming to Touchline Podcast on this lovely evening. I hope your team does well throughout the season.
Yes.
Thank you for gracing us with your menu present. We love you. We appreciate you.
I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna find you now. Yes.
I'm joking, but that is all that we have for Touchline tonight. Thank you so much for you guys gracing me and the rest of the fans with your presence here. Chain, thank you so much for coming on. And also at Dweezy Original, who's still at work, guys. Dweezy is at work. Some of us are having tea and coffee. We're going to bed. Dweezy still has to face the lights. But thank you so much for joining us here on the Touchline podcast. My name is Lady Poco, Chain at Dweezy Original. Please do follow us on all our social media platforms. That is Touchline SA on Twitter as well as Touchline SA on Instagram. Until we meet again, we're out.